My father sent a message to the family group chat. We never want to see you again. So I saved the messages, canceled his health insurance I was paying, and let him face his $200,000 medical bills alone. Welcome back, beautiful people. Before we begin, subscribe and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. We love seeing this community grow worldwide. The notification lit up my phone at 2:47 a.m. I should have been asleep, but insomnia had become my companion since carrying everyone else's burdens. The family group chat, Thompson Legacy, rarely buzzed this late. My stomach dropped before I even read the words. We never want to see you again. You're dead to this family. My father's message glowed cold and final on the screen. Below it, my mother had added a single emoji. Thumbs up. My brother Derek chimed in. About time Dad said it. She's been poisoned for years. I sat there in my downtown apartment, the city lights blurring through sudden tears, reading and rereading those words. 28 years of being the responsible one, the fixer, the one who sacrificed. Erased in a group text at 3 a.m. My hands trembled as I scrolled up, searching for context for the crime that warranted this execution. There was nothing. No argument. No warning. Just casual cruelty delivered with the emotional weight of a grocery list. The irony burned. My phone's payment confirmation sat 2 notifications above their messages. $847 transferred for Dad's supplemental health insurance. The same insurance covering his diabetes medication, his heart condition, his weekly physical therapy. I'd been paying it for 3 years, ever since his company dropped him and Medicare wasn't enough. I screenshot everything. Every word. Every timestamp. My legal training kicked in even as my heart shattered. Document everything. The crying could wait. Right now, I needed evidence of what my family really was. And what they just lost. Growing up, our house had an unspoken hierarchy. Derek was the golden child, charismatic, athletic, Dad's fishing buddy and Mom's pride. Then came Shanice, the artistic middle child who could do no wrong with her gallery openings and creative spirit. I was last. The responsible one. The boring one. Kenya can handle it, became the family motto. Need someone to co-sign a car loan? Kenya can handle it. Need bail money at 2 a.m.? Kenya's got it. Need someone to blame when things go wrong? Well, Kenya can handle that too. I paid for Derek's DUI lawyer when I was still in college myself, working 2 jobs while he partied through his 3rd suspended semester. I covered Shanice's rent for 8 months when her art wasn't selling. I bought Mom's medication, fixed Dad's car, babysat everyone's kids without complaint. The memory that haunted me most happened 5 years ago. I'd been accepted to a prestigious law fellowship, full ride, connections that could transform my career. It required relocating for 18 months. I'd made the announcement at Sunday dinner, nervous but excited. Dad's face had hardened. That's selfish, Kenya. Your mother needs you here. Family comes first, or did that fancy education make you forget where you came from? Derek had laughed. She's always been too good for us anyway. Let her go play big shot. I'd stayed. Turned down the fellowship. Took the local public defender job instead. And nobody ever acknowledged what I'd given up. That sacrifice became my prison sentence. 7 days before the text, I'd driven 2 hours in a thunderstorm because Dad's blood sugar had dropped dangerously low and Mom couldn't handle it alone. I'd found him sitting at the kitchen table eating ice cream while Mom watched her shows. Why didn't you take your insulin? I'd asked, exhausted, water still dripping from my jacket. Don't you take that tone with me, he'd snapped. I'm still your father. I don't need some high and mighty lawyer telling me what to do in my own house. Mom had barely looked up. You're always so dramatic, Kenya. He's fine. You didn't need to rush over here like the house was burning down. I'd taken his vitals, checked his medication schedule, restocked their fridge with diabetic-friendly options I'd purchased. $300 at the organic market because Dad deserved the good stuff. They hadn't said thank you. Derek had called later asking why I was bothering them so much. The Thursday before the text, Shanice had called crying. Her latest boyfriend had left, taking her rent money. Could I cover her? Just this once? It was always just this once. I can't this month, I'd said gently. My car needs new brakes and I've got student loans. Of course, she'd interrupted, voice turning cold. When we need you, you're suddenly broke. But you had money for that fancy work trip last month. That work trip had been a mandatory conference I'd paid for myself. The Sunday before everything imploded, Mom had called with her sugary voice, the one that always preceded a demand disguised as an invitation. Family dinner at 6. Don't be late. We need to discuss something important. I'd arrived with a homemade sweet potato pie, Dad's favorite, and wine I couldn't really afford. The house smelled like Mom's cooking, that familiar blend of fried chicken and manipulation that defined my childhood. They were all there. Derek with his new girlfriend Tamara, the 4th this year. Shanice with her judgmental expression already in place. Mom fussing over Derek's plate. Dad in his recliner, king of his castle. Kenya's here. Mom had announced like I was late. I was 10 minutes early. We'd barely sat down when Dad cleared his throat. We've been talking, as a family, about boundaries and respect. My fork had paused halfway to my mouth. This wasn't about boundaries. This was an ambush. Derek jumped in, emboldened by Dad's opening. You've been really controlling lately. Always telling people what to do, how to live. It's suffocating. Controlling. The word felt absurd in my mouth. I helped you. See. Shanice interrupted, gesturing at me like I was evidence in a trial. This right here. You help, then hold it over our heads. It's toxic. Mom had nodded, dabbing her mouth with a napkin. We love you, Kenya, but you need to hear this. Your attitude has been affecting the whole family dynamic. I'd sat there, surrounded by people I'd sacrificed for, being lectured about my attitude. Dad had leaned forward, eyes hard. Your mother and I raised you better than this. Somewhere along the way you got it in your head that you're better than us. That education made you think you're superior. That's not true, I'd protested, but my voice sounded small even to my own ears. Then explain why you question everything I do, Dad continued. My health, my choices, my parenting. You undermined me in front of Derek's kids last month, telling them they should think critically about what adults tell them. You were teaching my grandchildren to disrespect authority. I'd been teaching them to question propaganda after Derek showed them a conspiracy theory video. But apparently media literacy was disrespect now. Tamara, who'd known this family for exactly 6 weeks, felt qualified to add her assessment. From an outside perspective, Kenya, you do come across as kind of condescending. Like you're always the smartest person in the room. I started. Let her finish, Mom said sharply. To me. Always to me. Derek had stacked on then. And you're always bringing up money. Making us feel guilty for asking for help. Like you're some kind of martyr keeping receipts of everything you do. The irony of him saying this while sitting in clothes I'd bought him last Christmas wasn't lost on me. Shanice had delivered her rehearsed speech next. It's like you want us to fail so you can swoop in and save us. It's a control thing. Our therapist says. Your therapist that I helped pay for? The words escaped before I could stop them. The table went silent. And I knew I'd just proven their point. Dad's fist hit the table. That. Right there. That's exactly what we're talking about. You can't just be here, be family. You have to keep score, make sure we all know how much you've done. It's exhausting, Kenya. I'd looked at Mom, desperate for one ally. She'd looked away. Here's what's going to happen, Dad continued, his voice taking on that authoritative tone that had terrified me as a child. You're going to apologize to this family. You're going to recognize how your behavior has hurt us. And you're going to start showing some humility and respect, or there will be consequences. The word hung in the air. Consequences. For being their A-team. For dropping everything when they called. For sacrificing my dreams so they could feel comfortable. I need some air, I'd managed, standing up. Running away, Derek muttered. Classic Kenya. Can't handle real talk. I'd made it to my car before the tears came. Sat in their driveway for 20 minutes, watching through the window as they laughed and ate and continued dinner without missing a beat. Like I'd never been there. Like I didn't matter at all. I'd driven home in a daze, replaying every word, trying to understand how helping had become hurting. How love had become leverage against me. The text came 4 days later. No apology demanded. No chance to defend myself. Just excommunication delivered via group chat at 3 in the morning, like I was a spam contact they'd finally gotten around to blocking. I didn't sleep. By dawn, I'd printed every screenshot, every bank statement showing my transfers, every grateful text they'd sent when they needed something. The paper trail of my erasure. My best friend Nicole called at 8. Girl, I just saw. Did your brother really just post that? Post what? My voice sounded like gravel. Check Facebook. Derek had posted at 7:15 a.m. Sometimes you have to cut toxic people out, even family. If someone makes you feel bad about yourself constantly, it's okay to set boundaries. Proud of my family for standing together. #family first, #healthy boundaries, #self-care. The comments were filled with support. Friends I'd known for years, extended family, all congratulating him on his courage. Not one person had asked for my side. Then I saw Shanice's post, been dealing with a family situation. Reminder that blood doesn't excuse emotional abuse. Grateful for parents who taught me to stand up for myself. Love you, Mom and Dad. They were controlling the narrative, painting me as the villain before I could even process what happened. Nicole's voice brought me back. Kenya, what actually happened? This doesn't sound like you. I told her everything. She listened in growing horror. They've been gaslighting you for years. You know that, right? This whole thing, it's projection. They're toxic, so they're calling you toxic first. My father told me they never want to see me again, Nicole. In a group text. At 3 in the morning. After I just paid his insurance premium. Wait, you're still paying for everything. His insurance. Mom's car payment. I co-signed their refinanced mortgage 3 years ago. Nicole was quiet for a long moment. What are you going to do? I couldn't make decisions yet. First, I needed information. Years as a public defender taught me that emotion makes bad strategy. Facts make cases. I pulled my phone records. Counted the calls. I'd initiated 3 conversations in the past 6 months. They'd called me 47 times. 41 were requests for money or help. 5 were complaints about something I'd done or hadn't done. 1 was mom butt dialing me. I checked my bank statements, really checked them this time. In 3 years, I'd transferred $47,000 to various family members. Derek owed me $12,000 he'd promised to pay back. Shanice owed $8,500. Dad's insurance was $847 monthly. Mom's car payment was $320. I'd paid for family dinners, gifts for nieces and nephews, emergency vet bills for Shanice's dog, Derek's phone bill when he was between jobs for 9 months. I made $68,000 a year. My rent was $1,400. After family obligations, I lived on basically nothing. Then I found the real gut punch. I logged into Dad's insurance portal. I was the policyholder after all. His claims history loaded slowly. There, buried in the medical records. Appointments with an oncologist. My father had cancer. Stage 3 colon cancer. Diagnosed 4 months ago. Currently in treatment. They hadn't told me. Through every dinner, every forced conversation, every lecture about my attitude, nobody mentioned my father was fighting for his life. Because telling me would mean needing me, and they'd already decided I was the problem. I called the oncologist's office, identifying myself as the insurance guarantor. Can you tell me about the outstanding balance? Let me check. Mr. Thompson's account shows $197,000 in pending claims from his surgery and ongoing treatment. Insurance has covered most, but his out-of-pocket maximum and some specialized treatments. The balance is $197,340. I sat with that number for hours. $197,340. Without the insurance I was paying for, that number would be over $800,000. Every month I paid that premium. I was literally keeping my father alive. The father who told me he never wanted to see me again. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Is this Kenya Thompson? A professional voice, female. Yes. This is Barbara Easley from Medical Billing at City General. I'm calling about your father's account. We show you as the insurance guarantor. We need to discuss payment arrangements for the outstanding balance. When can you come in? What happens if the insurance is cancelled? The question felt like swallowing glass. Pause. The insurance? Ma'am, that would retroactively affect his coverage. The bills would revert to him as the patient. Given his treatment plan, we're talking about significant financial exposure. I'd strongly advise. Thank you for the information, I said and hung up. Nicole came over that evening with wine and Chinese food. She found me on the floor, surrounded by papers, my laptop open to the insurance cancellation page. You're really going to do it? She asked quietly. I don't know. Part of me wants to be the bigger person. To keep paying, keep helping, prove that I'm not who they think I am. And the other part? The other part is so tired, Nicole. So tired of being invisible until they need something. Of being blamed for having boundaries. Of sacrificing everything and being called selfish. I looked at her. He's sick. Really sick. This could destroy him financially. He destroyed you emotionally. At 3 a.m. In a group chat. Nicole sat beside me. You didn't create this situation. They did. My phone buzzed. The family group chat, which I apparently hadn't been removed from. Derek. Dad's treatment is going well. Doctor says the prognosis is good if he sticks with it. So grateful we have good insurance. They were talking about the insurance I paid for like it was their blessing. Their good fortune. No mention of where it came from. Shanice replied, Mom and Dad taught us to take care of ourselves. So proud of how they're handling this challenge. Family sticks together. Family sticks together. The words blurred as tears came. I was family when my money was useful. When my car could provide a ride, when my connections could open doors, when my responsibility could cover their mistakes. But when I needed basic respect, basic acknowledgement, I was toxic, controlling. Someone to excommunicate via text. Mom's message appeared, we're so blessed. Even with Kenya's drama, God provides. The insurance came through just when we needed it. He works in mysterious ways. God provides. Not Kenya provides. Not Kenya sacrifices. God. Mysterious ways. That's when something inside me shifted. I opened my laptop. Found the insurance company's website. Navigated to the cancellation page I'd been staring at for days. My hands didn't shake anymore. This wasn't anger. It was clarity. I clicked through the prompts. Confirmed my identity. Selected cancel coverage. The system asked for a reason. I typed, financial hardship. Can no longer afford premiums. It wasn't even a lie. Are you sure you want to cancel? This action cannot be undone. Coverage will terminate in 30 days. I looked at my phone. At the group chat where my family thanked God instead of me. Where they stood together against the daughter who'd only ever stood for them. I clicked confirm. The first call came on day 23 of the cancellation period. Dad's insurance company, informing him of the pending termination. He called me 6 times in a row. I didn't answer. Then Derek called. Then Shanice. Then Mom. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree of panic. Finally, a text from Dad. Call me now. There's a problem with my insurance. I waited 4 hours. Let them marinate in the same anxiety they'd served me for years. When I finally called back, Dad answered on the first ring. Kenya. Thank God. There's some mistake with my insurance. They're saying it's being cancelled. You need to call them and fix. It's not a mistake, I said calmly. I cancelled it. The silence stretched like taffy. You what? His voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. Do you understand what you've done? I have cancer, Kenya. I'm in treatment. Without that insurance. You have cancer, I repeated. For 4 months. Nobody told me. Because telling me would mean acknowledging that I matter. That I provide something valuable. That I'm family. This isn't about. You told me you never wanted to see me again. You meant it, right? So this is me respecting your wishes. I'm removing myself from your life. Completely. Including financially. You're going to let me die over some hurt feelings? The manipulation was masterful. The same tone he'd used my entire childhood to make me feel guilty for having needs. Your mother is beside herself. You do this to her? To your family. My family. I laughed and it sounded foreign. My family excommunicated me in a group text at 3 in the morning. My family let me believe I was the problem while you were literally fighting for your life. My family thanked God for insurance I paid for while calling me toxic. We can talk about this. Come to Sunday dinner. No. The messages escalated. Derek, you're really going to murder our father over your ego? He apologized, Kenya. What more do you want? I scrolled up. There was no apology. Just demands that I fix this and stop being petty. Shanice called crying. How can you be so cruel? He's scared, Kenya. Actually scared. The bills alone could take everything they have. Is this really who you want to be? Who I want to be? I asked. Let me tell you who I've been. I've been the person who paid your rent for 8 months. Who covered Derek's DUI lawyer. Who gave up a fellowship that would have changed my career. Who paid Dad's insurance for 3 years without missing a payment. Who showed up every time any of you needed anything. And what did I get? A group text at 3 a.m. telling me you never want to see me again. We were angry. You were honest, I interrupted. Finally. You showed me exactly how much I matter when I stop being useful. And I heard you. I'm respecting your boundaries. You never want to see me again. Granted. But that means all of me. Including my bank account. She tried another angle. Think about Mom. This will destroy her. The stress. Mom gave my concern a thumbs up emoji. She gets to live with that choice. Extended family started reaching out. Aunt Carol, I heard about the situation. You know your father can be difficult, but he's still your father. Family forgives. I responded, did he tell you he excommunicated me via text? Or just that I canceled insurance? She never replied. Uncle Jerome was more direct. You're being vindictive. Using money as a weapon. I expected better from you. Funny, I wrote back. Nobody expected better from them when they used me as an ATM for years. The insurance terminated on a Tuesday. By Thursday, the hospital had contacted Dad about the outstanding balance and the future costs without coverage. By Friday, Derek posted, "Pray for my family. We're going through something difficult. Financial struggles hit different when it's medical. If anyone has resources or advice, please reach out. #medical debt #family first." The comments filled with sympathy. No context. No truth. Just Derek playing victim like he'd perfected since childhood. I could have exposed them. Posted the screenshots, the bank statements, the timeline of my erasure. I could have let the world see their cruelty and hypocrisy. But that would mean I still cared what they thought. Still needed their acknowledgement. I didn't anymore. 6 months later, I heard through Aunt Carol that they'd set up a GoFundMe. Raised $40,000. Nowhere near enough. They'd had to sell the house, downsize to an apartment. Dad's treatment continued, but they were drowning. Derek had to get a second job. Shanice moved back home to help with expenses. They learned what I'd known my whole life. Survival requires sacrifice. The difference was I'd sacrificed willingly out of love. They sacrificed resentfully out of necessity. Nicole and I were having coffee when she asked, "Do you regret it?" Cutting them off. I thought about the therapy I could finally afford. The small house I'd just put a deposit on. The fellowship I'd reapplied for and been accepted to. The weight that had lifted from my chest when I stopped carrying people who resented the burden they'd created. I regret that it took me so long, I said honestly. I spent years believing that if I just gave enough, sacrificed enough, proved myself enough, they'd finally see me. Love me back the way I loved them. But you can't earn what people refuse to give. My phone stayed quiet now. No emergency calls. No crisis management. No group chat messages reminding me of my place. Some people call it revenge. I call it boundaries. They never wanted to see me again, and I'd simply made that wish permanent. They taught me that family was conditional. I finally learned the lesson. The irony was they'd been right about one thing. I had been keeping score. But not for power or control. I'd been keeping score, hoping that one day the balance would show them my worth. That the receipts would speak louder than my words. In the end, the only person who needed to see those receipts was me. Proof that I'd given everything I had to people who saw it as the bare minimum. Evidence that I'd loved them more than they'd ever loved me. And permission finally to walk away. Some stories don't end with reconciliation. Some end with realizing that the peace you seek doesn't come from fixing broken people. It comes from stopping the bleed they create in you. I never spoke to my father again. He never apologized. The family never acknowledged what they'd done. But for the first time in my life, I didn't need them to. Their silence was no longer a weapon. It was a gift. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Sometimes the hardest thing we do is choose ourselves. Drop a comment below sharing your experience. Your story matters too. And hit that subscribe button for more real stories about finding strength when family fails us. Because the family you choose can heal what the family you're born into breaks. Kenya's story doesn't end with bitterness, but with boundaries. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people face the consequences of losing you. Not for revenge, but for survival. For the chance to finally breathe.